All right, what's up? What's good? What's happening? What it do, baby? You are tuned in to another episode of the Why Not Us, Why Not Now podcast. It's your boy, the very own Xavier, aka X, aka Zay, joined by my very own co-host Kory, aka KB. KB, what's up, bro? Hope everything is everything. How's everything going in your world?
Man, long week, but we here now, so everything's all good, brother.
I feel you on that. Week 2 of the NFL finishing up on Monday night. Pair of good games that we had to watch right there. We'll get to some football in just a second. We got to start off with some basketball news, man, because there is trouble brewing in Tinseltown, to say the least. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, they appear to be on the outs. Now, before we even get into this, I'm not going to go in depth about the investigative journalism that Pablo Torre started up a couple of weeks ago. That is too much of a deep dive to have to go into. What I will say is this, and then KB, I'll hand it off to you. Kawhi Leonard is 34 years old. He has had injury-riddled season after injury-riddled season. And then we've seen all these different reports about all these different demands that Uncle Dennis and he reportedly, allegedly wanted from different teams during the 2019 free agency, coming off of that championship with the Toronto Raptors when he was traded there for a season from the San Antonio Spurs. I'll just simply say this. I would have moved off Kawhi 2 years ago when he still had some trade value. To me, the Clippers are a day late and a dollar short. What say you?
No, I'm in agreement, man. I think I would have cut my losses when his value was higher. And right now, it's like, what are you getting if you do decide like to trade for him? A 34-year-old injury-ridden superstar who, you don't know how many games you're gonna get out of him in a season. So now you're looking at, all right, we got a guy who has a lot of demands, but we know we're gonna see a return on our value. That's really what the question is, because I don't feel like the Clippers, for what they did to get Paul George, to get Kawhi, I don't think they really saw the return on their investment. I think that they honestly should feel like they got scammed because the highest of heights that they reached was the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago. Outside of that, it's been just disappointment after disappointment. And now you're looking at all these stories coming out about the demands that he gave not only to the Clippers, but also to the Lakers as well. It seems like the Lakers steered clear away, and that was probably the best thing they could have done at that time, because now I'm looking at the Clippers like, man, I mean, it's time to do a full reset if in my opinion. And I love Kawhi as a player, but I just don't see where you go from here.
Yeah, alluding to what you just said about the Lakers, according to Baxter Holmes with ESPN, an article came out. Kawhi Leonard's uncle, Dennis Robertson, reportedly wanted the Lakers to give him, listen at this, part ownership of the team, access to a private plane, a house, and guaranteed off-court endorsement monies. Quote, acquiring George was one of several requests made by Leonard and his camp, led by Leonard's uncle, Dennis Robertson, who outlined a series of asks for the Clippers in the days leading up to July the 5th. Those requests included part ownership of the team, access to a private plane, a house, and guaranteed off-court endorsement money. One source with direct knowledge of the talk said they were the same requests that, according to The Athletic, Robertson made of the Lakers and the Raptors. Before you even answer this, I just got to go ahead and get this one off my chest. Who the hell do these people think they are?
Uh, I mean, I'm hearing all the demands, but I'm not seeing like this. See, the thing is, when you're talking about ownership, you got LeBron James, who's been one of the most consistent players of all time, and he doesn't even have ownership of a team. So what the hell makes Kawhi Leonard think that he deserves any of that? And it kind of seems like spoiled children that are just saying like, I need this, I need this, I need this. But then when you look at Steve Ballmer, you're like, I haven't seen much. And the more time that goes on in this offseason, the worst things have been coming, like the worst stories have been coming out. And really, it's no way to recover from this other than looking at like what are we seriously looking at this team as being a championship contender? I honestly like the moves they made in the offseason, but with Kawhi, I think that you can move him and honestly get some pieces to go with that young core that you're still trying to build. You've already got rid of Paul George, and that was a great move, honestly. Getting him off the books was a great thing. Now getting Kawhi off the books can help you regain some of your future. This is more looking at like I just don't see this as being a good thing. And honestly, it's a bad look for Kawhi and his camp because you're like a spoiled child at this point. Like you want things, but you haven't given us anything to warrant what you're asking for.
It's a lose-lose situation now at this point to me. They could have traded both of them 2 to 3 years ago as the injuries were still piling up, but there was still some value there with both of them. Teams that were in win now mode for real and had other pieces to go along with them that probably wouldn't have needed either one, Kawhi or PG, to be their number one option. They would have made those moves. Now you're in a lose-lose situation. You've gone another season. We're going into year 6 of this experiment, and it's not working. It hasn't honestly worked since 2021, if we're being honest. And I don't doubt Kawhi's injuries. To me, KB, if Kawhi does not tear his ACL against the Utah Jazz in the second round of the playoffs in 2021, they win the NBA championship. Giannis and the Bucks went on to win it, and there's already controversial talk around that. Well, if the Brooklyn Nets didn't have, no. If Kawhi Leonard did not tear his ACL, they would have gone on to win the NBA championship that season, in my opinion. From that point forward, it's been all downhill. And every time you think it's getting better, it doesn't get better. It only gets worse. I would have cut my losses 2 years ago in 2023, and I would have got trade value in return. Because when this all first went down in 2019, I'm sure we all were of the mindset of, man, the Clippers, they ain't playing no games, man. They going all in here, going to get Kawhi, going to get PG. Who else they going to get? And we didn't really think that much of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You know who did think that highly of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers didn't want the Clippers to trade Shai. He saw what the future had a chance to be there. And Kawhi Leonard, of course, in his prime at the time, and as in his prime superstar, he should have been thinking like this. I want to win now. Shai wasn't ready to win now. I'm sure we can all admit that. But now let's fast forward to where we are from the summer of 2019 going into the fall of 2025. Shai is on a short list of guys who have a case of being the best player in the NBA. He is coming off of a season where he led the league in scoring, won the league MVP, led his team to an NBA championship, and won finals MVP. You know damn well Steve Ballmer is somewhere kicking himself right now that he made that move now. And on top of that, gave up all those draft picks, too, to give to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Some of those who also helped contribute to the championship that just happened.
Yeah, I look at it like this. Many people criticized Sam Presti years ago for just stockpiling those draft picks and over the years. But now you kind of see like he had a vision. He saw the type of player that SGA was molding into. And if they were willing to mortgage their future, if the Clippers if the Clippers were willing to mortgage their future, I don't see why not. Because honestly, I would have made that deal 10 times out of 10 for the exact same thing. The value that Paul George had when his highest season was him finishing third in MVP voting, if that's what it takes for him, who's never been the consensus, he's never been a consensus top 5 player outside of that MVP season. He's never been unanimously the best player in the league or even the second best player in the league. So if that is what you all value him as, by all means, I would have done that trade over and over and over again. But now I look at the Clippers like, okay, you have no future. The team that you made this deal with just came off a championship. So you're right. Ballmer's kicking himself. He's in the room crying right now because, like, like I said, the hype that was surrounding that team. I was there when the deal went down, and I was hearing all of the noise. You hear Pat Beverly, oh, you had the last 5 years, next 5 years of mine. Like you hearing all of this.
And to that point, he was saying that about Stephen Curry, Wardell Stephen Curry, Patrick Beverly, somebody who had never been on that level that Steph Curry is on. I'm not disrespecting the man. He's an all-time NBA player, and when I say all-time, I mean just a guy who spent all those years in the league, not like some all-time NBA great necessarily. But he's had his time in the league. He was good in his time in the league. He was never on Steph Curry's level. And when he said that, we never thought he was going to be on Steph Curry's level.
Yeah, and then the irony for Steph to win another ring before he even sniffed the finals is crazy. But that just kind of shows you everything looks good on paper until certain things start breaking down over the season. So we saw the injuries consistently. We saw the coming up short. We saw the criticism of Doc Rivers being the coach. He's no longer there anymore. But like I said, some of the same problems still stem with the Clippers. They have no direction right now. They are trying to balance between Kawhi and rebuilding this core that they have. Zubac, great player. I love what Zubac brings. I love the fact that they went out and got a guy like John Collins to help solidify that front court. I love the fact that I think they have great pieces. Now, can they put it all together? And will Kawhi be a part of that is the only question mark right now. Because with the reports coming out, we don't know if he's going to be a Clipper, by the start of the season, or will he be moved later on? But I think that right now they need to figure out what type of team do they want to be and if he's going to be the hallmark piece that they're looking for.
KB, I'm going to just go ahead and keep it short and sweet. The Clippers are not a championship contender. They were not a championship contender a year ago, and they were not really a championship contender in 2023. But they still had some little small crack in the window after that season. After that season ended, it was over. Because you don't have Jokic, you don't have Giannis, you don't have Shea, you don't have one of those top three guys to go along with this roster that it is that they've assembled together. They've assembled a roster together full of old guys, hoping that they can all stay healthy and put it together. When has that ever happened like that? This is very similar to what the Brooklyn Nets did in 2014, going and getting Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Jason Terry and trying to pair them up with Darren Williams, who didn't have too much of his prime left, Joe Johnson, who he had 1 to 2 really good seasons left after he departed from Atlanta. He was traded out of there. This is very similar to what this is. This doesn't work in this NBA. We just saw the two teams who played in the finals, the Pacers and OKC, depth and youth. We saw when the Denver Nuggets made it to the NBA Finals, depth and youth. The Miami Heat, you can make an argument they had depth and youth. The Celtics and the Mavs last year, depth and youth. So stop piling all of these old guys together like this. James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, at the time, Paul George. And let me get this straight. You think that bringing Chris Paul back at this stage in his career is going to help put you over the top because he's still a floor general? He can do nothing anymore except assist. He can't get you those 20 and 10 nights anymore. That's over with. Bradley Beal, he's on a prove-it contract, and we'll see what he's able to prove. You might like the moves that they made. To me, I look at them as Band-Aids. They're Band-Aids for a team that honestly is no better than a team that's just going to make it into, I don't even know if they're a playoff team. They might just be a play-in team.
Very well said. I will not take credit for saying that I like all those moves. Two moves because I did feel like that Zubac was trending towards that top five center in the league because you got to look at outside of Jokic and Embiid when healthy. It's not too many top tier big men out there. John Collins, I like his game for the sense of you bring a little bit of a high flyer that can, work off that block a little bit. But other than that, you're right. They are old. They are old, old. Chris Paul, the things he was doing in Houston, he's not that player anymore. He doesn't scare like you roll out a lineup of Chris Paul, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Bradley Beal coming off the bench possibly. They're not scaring nobody. Nobody.
I got a name for them. Shout out to Martin Lawrence and the Martin Show, an all-time great sitcom from the 90s. Remember when he had Eric Gordon that came out down the court because he thought it was going to be Air Jordan? What do you call that man? He said, bro, who'd you play for? The Frederick Douglass All-Stars? That's what that team is. They are the Frederick Douglass All-Stars. Each and every one of them can possibly go out there and get hurt on any given night. And when you get older, those injuries get harder to just come back and bounce back from. And at the stage that they're in, Father Time is right there knocking on the door, too. They are at that age where that can happen. This is an abominable mess that Steve Ballmer and Ty Lue and Lawrence Frank have put together, and they need to clean house completely on all of this and just start over. Maybe that means getting Lawrence Frank out of there as the general manager, too, because he's partially responsible for this mess.
Exactly. And so, just to make matters worse, we'll go over a few teams. I'm gonna name a few teams, and if you tell me yes or no whether they're better than these teams currently constructed, are they better than these teams? Are they better than the Thunder?
No.
Are they better than the Rockets?
No.
Are they better than the Mavericks?
No.
Are they better than the Lakers?
You know what? Because LeBron and Luka are still there together? No.
So you're already okay. Are they better than the Denver Nuggets?
Hell no.
Are they better than the Dallas Mavericks?
No, because Dallas, when healthy, they get all those front court guys together and Kyrie bounces back and he's the Kyrie that we know. No, not even close.
So at best, you're looking at maybe a 7-8 seed, possibly. And that's being generous. That's if everything on paper remains the exact same. But like you just said, there's no guarantee that even 3 or 4 of them will even make it through the season with the injuries that they've known to have. So with the current average age on that team, I'm not too excited about the Clippers. I like the 2 moves as far as bringing Zubac back and then bringing John Collins in, but I can't say I'm excited for this team. Like they don't have like that fear factor. Like people fear Jokic. People still fear LeBron, still fear Luka, but not them.
I'm going to throw one more team out there, and I'm surprised you didn't say it. Are they better than the San Antonio Spurs?
Give me Wembanyama.
Thank you. So, no, if I'm not contending for a championship with a core that's this old, why did I put this together? It makes no sense. So you brought them in there to be mediocre? This is a lack of return on investments. They need to get out of this as quickly as possible. It starts with Kawhi Leonard, but it's so many more problems that go beyond that. All right, man, look, we got to get into some baseball news, too, because the Tampa Bay Rays making headlines just earlier this evening. 2 presidents with the team, they are out of there. And it's interesting that this is happening, KB, here in September, as this sale for the team is getting ready to go through here officially pretty soon. So Rays presidents Matt Silverman and Brian Auld will step down from their roles as part of the pending sale of the team to the new owners. The Rays saying on Wednesday that those moves are connected with the franchise's sale, that they could close within the next 2 weeks, pending final approvals. The team saying that it will share information about the sale and new ownership group after the transaction is completed. So Silverman is wrapping up his 22nd year with this franchise and his 17th as the team president. And he was first promoted to the president in October 2005 when he was just 29 years old. And he later served 3 seasons as the president of baseball operations from 2015 to 2017 before returning to the role as team president. Ald is in his 21st season with the franchise, his 11th as team president. Now, he's going to remain with the Rays as a senior advisor to ownership and the leadership team during the transition and beyond. Mr. Silverman, however, he will be departing from the organization. Man, I just got to tell you, as somebody who lives here, and I've had people ask me this question, do you think the Rays are going to stay in Tampa? I'm hopeful that they will, but having things like this take place, folks who have been a part of the organization for 2+ decades, departing like this, and it's connected to the new sale, and one of these owners is specifically out of Jacksonville, and there have already been some small rumors floating that he might want to relocate the team there. I don't know what to think right now. Now, it's also very possible that these guys might just want to bring their own guys in too. That's very possible as well. And we see that happen when there's new management and new ownership changes that happen with teams all the time. But I don't know, man, with all the back and forth that's happened within the past year or so in terms of, are we going to stay in the Trop? Are we getting a new stadium? Okay, we're going back to the Trop. Let's rebuild the Trop, that being Tropicana Field. I just don't know. And the attendance numbers that the Rays usually have at these games, it's not very great either.
Yeah, man, I look at this like they're trying to go a new direction. They're trying to right the ship now and start something completely different. And if that means getting them out of Tampa, then I mean, you have to look at it as far as what you said. You can turn on a Rays game at any time, and most of the time you're seeing a lot of empty seats. You're not seeing them as heavily promoted, especially outside of the Tampa area. They're not giving much national love. And so maybe this may be what they need, a complete overhaul. And just, I'm never for moving a team out of a certain city only if it benefits the fans, because like I said, we've had a lot of teams that have been relocated over the years, and you lose a good fan base. We've seen it in sports all over. So to be honest with you, I hate to see it, but I honestly think this might be the move that might need to happen right now. And I think that they're just looking at an overall clear direction that they need to move out of Tampa. And, there's different possibilities for why, logistics play a good part into that. They're looking at overall what can we capitalize on as far as ticket sales, merchandise sales, something new. Everybody wants something new sometimes. So I look at it like this may be the move.
Yeah, listen, the Rays, they have some loyal fans here, but in general, this is not a baseball town. Tampa Bay is not a baseball town. KB, I went and covered a game last season in the Trop where it seats 28,000 people. There were only about 10,000 people in attendance for that game. And that's something that's more common than it's not. So that kind of tells you where baseball really stands. At Raymond James Stadium, when it's the Bucks playing, they don't have that problem, not even when they're bad. So I'm hopeful that the Rays can stay in town, but I just don't know what to think about it. And something else to think about too with this is there have already been those rumors floating out there of MLB teams having even more expansion that's going to come in, and it's going to create more divisions. So say that they add another 4 teams in and the divisions would expand. And from what I was seeing, the Rays would actually end up being in a division with teams like the Braves and maybe the Miami Marlins, and it wouldn't necessarily still be this AL East thing that it is. That's something that you got to think about too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we're just like right now it's just a lot of speculation out there. We're, only giving our opinions on this matter, but like I said, he lives in the area. He's covered these games. I've watched as a fan, just sometimes watching my Braves play the Tampa Bay Rays. It's never been a full stadium, and sometimes that the appeal is just not there for the home crowd. And if you're only getting, really good crowd interaction or just getting people to come to the games when star players, and you have a bigger problem on your hand. These things all matter. We've seen teams moved out to out of states and cities for far less than just attendance. So I guess we'll wait and see, but I don't know if this is looking too good for the city of Tampa right now.
I can tell you for a fact, the most attended games that usually happen are when the Yankees are in town, the Red Sox are here, the Dodgers are here, and maybe even the Chicago Cubs. Beyond that, those seats don't get filled out. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But, man, we got to get into week 2 with some NFL action here, man. And I want to go straight to Sunday Night Football because they didn't get shown the love they should have gotten shown on the mainstream networks. But they're going to get it right here. The Atlanta Falcons, man, this appears to be the dawn of a new day. 6 sacks, 4 takeaways, only allowing 6 points. I love what I saw. This is what we were hoping to see from Raheem Morris in year 1 by him being a defensive-minded coach. And after that year ended, we're all sitting there thinking, did the Falcons just hire another defensive-minded coach who cannot coach defense? Remember, Mike Smith had mediocre defenses. Dan Quinn had some mediocre defenses. And Raheem had a terrible defense a year ago. But maybe he just needed to get in there and go shopping with some of the groceries with GM Terry Fontenot, who this draft class might have saved his job because he was on the rocks coming into this season, and rightfully so, because we were questioning a lot of things that he had done. But I'm a huge fan of what I saw. We'll get to Bijan Robinson and his offensive performance in that game in just a second. But KB, talk to me about your Birds, man, because they were flying out there.
I mean, as a lifelong fan, man, that was probably one of the most beautiful performances I've ever seen from a Falcons defense. You guys got to understand, we ranked in the bottom half of the league, if not last, for the past couple of years in pass rush. We don't get home to the quarterback, not on blitzes, not on 4-man rushes, nothing. So for me to see the pass rush get back there as often as they did, not even just on the ones that were recorded as sacks, the pressures that they sent to J.J. McCarthy got him flustered. He looked uncomfortable all night. James Pierce Jr., Jalen Walker, those guys look like studs. They look like future stars. I'm going to also give love to another guy that doesn't get the attention, Ebiketie. He has been lights out, and he's been a hallmark for that defense for the past couple of seasons. Like, he's helping get those guys up to speed. Leonard Floyd being a veteran presence on that line. He's helping mentor those guys and show them this is what you have to do to be an effective pass rusher in this league. And honestly, I think that this was just a small sample of how good this defense can be. And I haven't even started talking about my man Billy Bowman back there. Straight up ball hawk. He knows how to find the ball. Him and Xavier Watts back there, I love their game. I think it's only going to improve. We saw what they can do on a national stage. Now let's see where they can take it from there.
Yeah, J.J. McCarthy, you brought him up. He struggled big time in this game. 2 interceptions, 1 lost fumble. Now, we did learn later that he suffered a high ankle sprain, and he'll be out 2 to 4 weeks. We wish him all the best. We don't wish injuries on anybody. KB, I do have to bring up the fact that 7 bad quarters, 1 good one so far through 2 career starts. And considering what the Chicago Bears looked like on Sunday in Detroit, I don't know how impressive that 4th quarter really looks right now. So, and you look at Minnesota, man, I saw nothing but frustration on the faces of Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, and so many of those players on Sunday night. Is this going to work?
Yeah, like you said, the one good quarter that you had, that more looks now that we're seeing after 2 weeks, and we saw what the Chicago Bears just did against the Detroit Lions, that was more for me an indictment on the Bears than it was an impressive performance by the Vikings. Now, I give credit where credit is due because he could have laid down. He could have continued to make bad reads. I'm going to give him credit for what he did, but we also have to look at it, they are struggling badly. They have no identity in the passing game. JJ McCarthy sometimes looks like he's confused at the coverages that other teams are running against him. He doesn't know how to handle the pressure as far as when they're sending blitzes. He's looking like a real rookie quarterback. I mean, he looks flustered at times. They have no identity as far as running the ball. If you want to look at that, may have been the only thing that was working, and that wasn't even really working well. Jordan Mason had a few runs here and there, but other than that, they were stagnant on offense all night. And had the Falcons put those drives together that would culminate in touchdowns, oh, this would have been a train wreck, even more than it already was. Falcons scored one offensive touchdown. That is terrible when you look at the fact that they scored what they scored, knowing that that team scored one offensive touchdown the entire night. But for some reason, it felt like the score didn't show the whole story. Falcons dominated the entire game. So I know you said that you were gonna wait, but talk about my man Bijan Robinson. What did you make of his performance?
Just overall, 218 yards on the ground for Bijan, Tyler Algier, and some of the few yards that Michael Penix picked up rushing as well. But 143 alone for Bijan. Listen, man, it's time. This is a tier 1 running back in the NFL right now. There's no more discussion about it. I know that you have those out there who say, I want to see at least one more year. I think you would have got that one more year last year if Arthur Smith had used him properly during his rookie season. I've seen enough. The cuts that he's out there making, there was one run that he had where he only picked up 8 yards running. But you looked at all the different cuts he was making, how he was evading defenders. The Falcons got him one in this one. This is that draft class from 2023 with him and Jalen Carter a part of that. KB, we're going to go back and we're going to look at that draft class, especially those 2 picks right there in particular, and we're going to say, you couldn't have gone wrong with either one of them. If the Falcons had drafted Jalen Carter, the Eagles were going to pick up Bijan Robinson, and he would have been doing the same thing in Philadelphia that Saquon is doing.
Yeah, I think that you're correct. Like, I know a lot of Falcon fans that were critical of the Bijan pick because they were saying we needed defense. But a back like him doesn't come around too often. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. It's some guys that are just sure things. And this guy looks like he's one of one, honestly. The cuts that he makes, the ability to be versatile and receive just as well as rush the ball, they look like a completely different team. When he's locked in and he's on, he is on. And I think with Bijan having a running back like Tyler Algier, behind him makes things a lot easier because you don't know how to attack them. You have one that's more of a versatile back that can do it all, and then you have a straight bruiser in the backfield with Tyler Algier. He's not looking to go east and west. He's north and south. He's trying to run you over. So you better come with if you're going to tackle Tyler Algier. Now, the one thing I did see, and I've been critical of this since last year, the one guy that I need to see more out of, and I need to see some type of improvement, Zach Robinson, I'm looking at you. I got to see more. The play calling looks kind of pedestrian sometimes. And yes, we did pick up the win, but we got to look at it like this. How many teams are you going to beat when you're stalling out on drives, when you're getting in the red zone and you can't put together a set of plays to get you over the top? Had it not been for Parker Ramos hitting those 5 field goals, we're looking at a completely different game. Even as bad as the Vikings played, the Falcons did not do enough, I felt like, to finish certain drives out. Zay, I'm going to let you take on this one.
I just simply want to say this since you brought up Parker Romo's name. If we haven't said it yet, or if it hasn't been said on any Atlanta airwaves yet, Young Way Cool, we thank you for your services. We thank you for your time. We salute you. We bid you farewell. because there's no way that you're telling me that he's getting his job back after what Parker Romo did on Sunday.
If he gets his job back, hey man, everything I know is a lie. Everything I know is a lie. Parker Romo, he came in, he did his thing. He didn't even know his teammates' names, and he still came in and did his thing against his former team. That's what you call locked in. Cool. We appreciate everything you did for the city. We appreciate everything you did while you were an Atlanta Falcon. But good things don't last forever. And this was just one of those things, man. It's nothing personal. We love you. You'll always be, right up there in our eyes as far as one of the greatest kickers that we had. But, I mean, it's over. Take the hell out of lever, brother. It's over.
Let's get to some quick hitters here really quickly. The Dolphins lose again to a meltdown in the fourth quarter. They lost to the New England Patriots. They are now 0-2. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. KB, they're the worst team in the league. I said that last week. I stand by it.
Yeah, I think that you have no choice but to look at him as the worst team in the league. I think Mike McDaniels, he's completely lost the locker room. Tua looks like he just has no idea what's going on. Tyreek Hill's frustrated. I'm pretty sure Jalen Waddle's frustrated. You have nothing on that on that team that gives me hope that they're going to be any better going forward. I do see Tyreek Hill being traded at some point this season. And I hope so, because this is kind of what you get when you gave Tua that extension. You had no real reason to give him that money other than there aren't a lot of good starting quarterbacks out there. So I think that's what we're looking at, and I think that the Dolphins are in trouble.
Yeah, and you talk about Tyreek Hill being traded possibly to the Kansas City Chiefs where he started his career. They're 0-2 for the first time. Do you think they make the playoffs?
Playoffs? Hell no. Are you talking about the Dolphins?
Oh, I'm talking about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh yeah. If they get Tyreek Hill with the addition of Rashee Rice coming back, Xavier Worthy coming back, yes, I do. I don't know if I see them winning the AFC West, but I do see them making the playoffs.
All right, some more quick hitters here really quickly. The Packers with a big win over the Washington Commanders in week 2. They look like the best team in the league. Going back to the Peach State, Georgia Tech and UGA winning in dramatic fashion, but wins are wins, and a disappointing showing for the Florida Gators, specifically from DJ Lagway. 5 interceptions against the LSU Tigers. Man, that's an unfortunate situation happening down there. What's your reaction?
Yeah, this is what happened. Season hype. I think DJ Lagway is going to be still a great quarterback, but I don't think that he is the transcendent talent that everyone thought he was.
All right, y'all, we got to wrap up part 1 here, but we'll be back with part 2 talking about America's Game of the Week featuring the team known as America's Team. You are tuned in to the Why Not Us, Why Not Now podcast. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.